What if our pretty pink princess decided not to be a princess? Hey everyone, it's your Minion of the East with the final What If video for What If month. You know, this has actually been a fun experience. I've doing these videos because, quite frankly, it's actually giving me some more experience on branching out of what I want to do in content on this channel and actually do something with myself. Because I actually do like talking about what if scenarios. Maybe in the future I'll go back to some of these what ifs for My Little Pony, but I'm also open to trying out different what ifs from other franchises in the future and actually experience trying to be a better video editor by actually trying to script my videos. I know for the whole month I've been doing these all unscripted with just some slight editing, but I actually want to try out to be a little better as a content creator and branch out more other than just doing reaction videos and minor let's plays here and there. So that's why I wanted to try out this little experiment with myself, see if I can find an edge. And although I did this on a tight schedule throughout the month, especially going back to school and everything, I'll try doing these more what if videos whenever I get the chance of doing something, like whenever I have more free time and whenever I feel like I have an idea in my head I just want to try and get out there. So I might do more of these in the future. I just want to know from you guys what other what ifs you want me to do, and these have to be from franchises that I've done or that I'm familiar with. So with that said, let's finish off what if month with what if Cadence decided not to become a princess anymore. So in the comic Friends Forever number 30, Princess Cadence was having a bit of an issue trying to she was having doubts about herself if she was right to be a princess, because throughout the whole comic, when she was going out in the marketplace, she was feeling that she's just there to be pretty. This is kind of a bit of a social commentary with the fans that I've seen since her first appearance, that Cadence was always just there as a princess, and plus she's the typical pink princess that we were all dreading of seeing in the show, and just being pretty and just being the one to be saved. But in the Canterlot Wedding two-parter, she actually helped out the man that she loved from being hypnotized, even though it took some liberties from The Little Mermaid, the Disney's version at least. But then Cadence started getting a little more development as the seasons went on, other than just being the princess that was just there. She actually got herself an identity, even got herself a kingdom in the Crystal Empire. But other than that, there was still some people that doubted about her as a character. And I think this comic did that for me. They put her in the limelight of saying she could be more than just being the pretty princess. And it's even described what Twilight does to try and cheer her up, that she inspires other ponies and even her subjects, and even spreads the love, which is of course pointing to her connection to the Crystal Heart. But I don't want to give too much of the comic away, and again, I'll link you to one of the content creators that got me inspired to do this what if, and it was actually suggested by him, Sketchy the Changeling. I'll leave you a link to his review on Friends Forever number 30 in the description box down below. So with that said, I'm going to continue from the end of this comic, much like how I did with the Deviations comic of Shining Armor in the What If Shining Armor was the main character. So I'm going to start off near the end of Friends Forever number 30. So at the end of the comic, Princess Cadence was at her lowest point, thinking that she didn't feel worth being a princess and that she was there just being pretty and everything. And it was starting to have effect not only on her subjects, but on the Crystal Heart itself, to the point it was starting to gray out and losing its luster and light. And for those who remember the Season 3 premiere, the Crystal Ponies were all dark in color when they didn't have the love fueling them. It's kind of the more I think about it, it kind of reminds me of the Changelings when they need love, but one step at a time. So what I'm going to think happens, the one thing that brought Cadence back to feeling like herself again was Twilight's prep talk on how she inspires people. But what if Twilight tried thinking of a solution a little bit too long? Cadence then announces her stepping down from the throne as the princess, and probably in her distress flies off. Not only will this shock the citizens, but this will cause the Crystal Heart to fully lose its light and becomes gray, like it lost all its luster. And once it does, the Crystal Empire just started to look all gloom and gray and sad. Even the citizens like lose their full crystal luster, which not only sent Twilight into a panic, but caused the Shining Armor to be worried about his wife. So from there on, I'm gonna not use most of the clips or images from the show, because this is mostly a comic thing. From what I could say, if this was to be a mainstay comic, I would see this being a two-parter. Like, this would be a major issue for the citizens of this town, and it would bring the readers on edge of what would happen without Cadence around, because in the comic she had a doubt that she was just placed there by Luna and Celestia to look over the Empire, or when it first came back at least. And I think she didn't have any option of staying until she was the one who brought the Crystal Heart back. So what I'm going to think is that things are going to start deteriorating around the Crystal Empire. Like, parts of the building start chipping away, the ponies are too depressed to do anything about it, and it's just going to probably cause the Empire to start collapsing on itself. So I'm thinking this will go into a two-parter, so I'm just going to do my best to think of what this second part is going to be about. So what I'm going to think is happening for the second part of this What If is that Twilight's going to go look for Cadence wherever she flew off to, while Shining Armor tries his best to calm the situation with all the citizens, and even like help out the guards, because I think there will still be a couple guards and ponies that are still positive and tries to make light of the situation, but more and more ponies start losing their luster and are saddened without the Crystal Heart's light. So Shining Armor is going to try and keep the Crystal Empire from collapsing in on itself while Twilight goes to look for Cadence. So I think she would immediately go towards Celestia and Luna and ask for their advice on where she could possibly go, and they wouldn't have any idea where to start looking for her right away, but they would try to find her in their special place or something, where Cadence would only go. And as far as I know, we have no idea where Cadence originally lived, other than probably living in Canterlot before going to the Crystal Empire. So I think her first step would try to find Cadence somewhere in Canterlot. So Twilight would probably go towards her home, because that's where she had Cadence as her foal sitter, so probably to be the first place to look. And she wouldn't find her there, like her parents wouldn't know where she is. And then she would probably go around all of their special places that they went to when she was a filly, and she would have no success. And throughout this whole time, we'll be cutting back to the Crystal Empire, with Shining Armor trying to make light of the situation, keeping everything calm, but more and more ponies start losing their luster, and even the guards are having trouble trying to control the situation, and even they start to lose their luster, up until like there's only a handful of guards left in Shining Armor, keeping the situation at bay. But then some of the buildings start collapsing, into the ground. Like, I would imagine, and this is more going to headcanon territory, without the Crystal Heart, and since Sombra was the one who casted the spell that the Empire suddenly disappeared for 1,000 years, I would think that the Crystal Heart would keep the spell at bay to keep them from disappearing. And of course the winters of the north of the Crystal Empire are slowly creeping in. So not only are the buildings deteriorating, falling apart, or falling into the ground, the harsh winters of the Crystal Empire's northern winds are starting to envelop the place in snow as well. So this isn't going to be a good idea until they can find Cadence to fix their situation. So then what I think would happen next is that Twilight would find the one last place to look for Cadence, and that would probably be, and I'm taking inspiration from the novels here, where Cadence was, like, where she originally came from before she became an alicorn. Like, Twilight would find her there, and Cadence would contemplate having a simpler life again, other than being a princess without the need of politics, not feeling like she's not worth being a princess, and just wants to be a normal pony again, or a Pegasus as she was before. But then Twilight then starts to give her that inspirational speech that she was originally planning to give her at the end of the original comic. And then Cadence starts feeling a little prepped up again, but not fully revitalized. So then she convinces her to go back to the Crystal Empire and still think this over, but when they get back, they see like half the Empire completely enveloped in snow. Every single pony and even the guards are all depressed, lost their luster. The Crystal Heart's like completely black at this point, and Shining Armor is feeling helpless that he cannot do anything, as the Crystal Empire is becoming nothing but rubble and covered in a blizzard of snow. This only fuels Cadence of feeling that this is all her fault, and she was right that she wasn't meant to be a ruler. But Twilight, I think, would try to keep her positive that this is why they would need her more than ever. This is because the citizens will need her, and the Crystal Heart will keep them at all positive and inspire them with all of her love. So I think at this point, Cadence would try her best to reignite the Crystal Heart, but she still has the doubt in her. So it's slowly faltering of trying to reignite it. But I think with one last push from Shining Armor, like reminding them of their vows of being husband and wife and the love that they showed when they saved Canterlot, would fully reignite Cadence's inspiration and confidence to the point that not only does she reignite the Crystal Heart, this also inspires all the citizens of the Crystal Empire once again, reignited it fully, then pushing back all the blizzard and fully reconstructing all the buildings that collapsed into the ground. And thus, Cadence fully has her confidence back, and the citizens rejoice that their kingdom is saved. So, then she gets the court named after her, of course, the court naming ceremony. But then Cadence talks to Twilight that she felt that it was still her fault because she let her doubt get the best of her. But even everyone has the worst of times of like struggling with their own self-worth and identity. So I think that's how a second part of the comic would go. It's not more of slice of life or adventuring. It's just more of like more of a character study on Cadence itself, since the show up until that point barely touched on like what Cadence is, other than supplementary material like, say, the comics or the books. So the comic would end there, and I think everything would be hunky-dory at the end. And there we go. Cadence would fully be confident again in being a princess, and we would see her like as what would happen if she's retired as a princess. Well, only temporarily. I wouldn't see her being like fully retired at that point, because the show doesn't give me enough evidence to point to the fact that she would want to retire. And since the comics only tackle these issues like very briefly in like one issue, I would see these being multi-parts, but not stretched out too far that they could go like, say, 7 issues or something like that. I've seen something more simple like as a 2 or 3-parter. And as far as just being a 2-parter, I could see it just being okay. But other than that, there's really not much I could expand upon, and yeah, being the length of this video, this wasn't going to be a very long what if. This was more of a study on what could potentially happen and just expanding the comic. But other than that, it was a nice little experiment to try and go with the tackling a comic continuity, since they're only B-canon as opposed to the show. I thought it was a nice little change of pace. And there we go, people. That was the very last What If video of the month. And once again, this was a nice little experiment I did with my channel, trying to tackle different subjects, and with a show I'm very passionate about. If there's other games or shows, or maybe even movies if I'm going to go beyond, like where I could do possible what ifs, I'll probably do a couple more in the future. That is if you guys want to see more from me. I want to hear from you guys what you thought of the entirety of my What If month. Because this was a fun concept I did. I got a couple of inspirations from people that on the Discord, and even Sketch of the Changeling gave me a couple ideas and even advice on how to properly do some of these videos, especially doing a title card, which I completely redone if you saw clicking on the video. I thought this was fun to change the pace. I might do more again, but I'm still gonna be. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna stop doing reaction videos. Those are what I started off with, but I want to try and deviate myself further away from just doing normal reaction videos, and try and do something more that I could get an identity of myself, like Cadence did in this What If. What I want to do with the future of this channel. I know I've talked about this way in the past, but I've been struggling with trying to find how to do this. Like, there are some more what ifs I could do, and I know there's some Let's Plays I want to continue. Fire Emblem. So, yeah, I want to hear from you guys what you want to see from me in the future. I might do an update video about this. But until then, I hope you all enjoyed this What If month for all September, and I hope to see you again. So until then, this has been your Minion of the East. So, until next time, everyone, take care.